Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome in another hour of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Wednesday night into your Thursday morning here on the program. We've got some playoff or play-in basketball, whatever you want to call it, going on. Mavericks with a massive lead, 99-81, going into the fourth quarter over the Sacramento Kings. 4.5-point dogs pre-flop. They're up 18 with 12 minutes to go. Taking a look at the live lines in that one. Dallas laying 14.5. Once upon a time, I looked at this number and it said 4.5 when the Mavericks were up about a dozen. That number, long gone. Laying 14 and a hook live, 12 minutes to go. That live total, 232.5. How about, where are they sitting right now? At 180 combined points? This total closed at 213 and a hook. But that's not the notable story. The notable story is that it opened at 223 and a half. 10 points of movement on the total. Unbelievable. You never see anything like that. What, did someone place a tariff on Anthony Davis that it dropped 10 points? Craziness. 10-point movement on that total. Mavericks, runaway train, going to earn the right to take on the Memphis Grizzlies Friday night in southwestern Tennessee. No line on that game yet. You would think DraftKings would start posting like a hypothetical with the Mavs up 18. We do have a Heat Hawks line for Friday, and I want to shout out our terrific AP, Johnny Campbell, who, I was trying to, if you were watching in the last segment, I turned the chair around. We call that bad TV, good radio, right? Let me look at the board. Bad radio, good TV. Let me turn around, look at the board behind me, and see what the odds are. Couldn't see him posted on the board, but Johnny went down to the kiosk. He was so kind to do so, and got me the numbers. It's same as DraftKings in terms of the spread. Hawks -1, Heat +1, although it's 10 cents each way at circa. DraftKings, the Hawks are slightly juiced, an extra 2 cents, extra couple pennies. Money line, Hawks -115, Heat -105. So if you're on the Heat like I am, right now your best bet is to go to FanDuel. Take Miami, +108 at FanDuel and at Boyd, for those of you in Nevada. Right now, that's the direction I'm going. Now, also at FanDuel and Boyd, the Heat are +1.5, so if you want to play it safe, like I know if you watch us Monday nights, Father Knows Bets, you already know he's going to be taking George Ceraulo, my dad, the Heat +1.5. You know it. Just like the national title game. Even though we ended up losing, I think we were on the right side. We did have a 14-point lead in the second half, but nonetheless, sometimes you can be on the right side and still have a losing ticket. He took the 1.5 with the Cougars. I took the money line. And I took the Cougars home. That's how I operate. More of a Saturday night play than a Monday night play, though. Heat, definitely my play Friday night against Atlanta. We touched on earlier in the program how the regular season series went. Atlanta won the first 2 games by double digits at home. Then Miami won them both in South Beach by double digits. Maybe take an alt flyer. Let's see what DraftKings has. Heat -9.5. Do we dare take a flyer on a double digit? I don't know if those alt lines are even available yet, because it is pretty early. But can't hurt to take a little look. Alternate lines, do we have anything? No, huh? Looks like I'm not seeing anything like that. Well, it is early. Game's not till Friday, and we're here right now on a Wednesday evening, so plenty of time to get some alt lines popping up. But I would look at a Heat alt line Instead of just going money line plus 8 cents, I would up that number minus 3.5, minus 4.5. I feel like it's becoming increasingly rare we see NBA games land on, 2, on 3. I know it's the playoffs, but this Hawks team, aside from Dyson Daniels, doesn't play a whole lot of defense. For every bit as amazing as Dyson Daniels is as a defender out there in the backcourt, Trae Young is as much a liability alongside him in that backcourt. So Daniels may try to lock down Hero, but then whoever Trae Young's got could have a field day, right? And, Bam Adebayo, he's damn near unstoppable, right? He's not Nikola Jokic, but Bam is a tough guy to guard. So even if Tyler Hero doesn't drop 38 like he did against Chicago, I still foresee Miami having a good night. Let's see what the play is here. We just got a text from Father Knows Bets. Abso-bleeping-lutely to taking the 1.5 with Miami. At least I know we're on the same side in that one. And he also wanted me to point out that the picks Monday that have ended thus far, 4-2. So just relaying the message, passing that on. Mavericks up 101-83. 10.5 to go here in the fourth quarter. 18-point lead. Dallas has been living around 18-19 in the second half here. Sacramento had a little surge. Cut it, I believe, 16. I don't think they made it closer than 16. They were down 23 at the break. But ever since they made it 80-64, mind you, it was 80-54 at one point. So the Mavericks opened the third quarter on a run. Sacramento answered with a 10-0 run of their own, 80-54. And since then, this has been living in the 18-19 point range. Mavs by 18, commercial break, 10.5 to go. Live line, 14.5. Live total, 229.5. I'm interested in that total. We're going to keep an eye on that because I'm really interested to see if they can get over both the closing number and the opening number of 223.5. Closed 213.5. I'm curious to see if they can get through both numbers. That'll be intriguing. If it didn't matter what number you got, if it was just over, regardless. Folks, are you looking to take your betting to the next level? I'm not talking hoops, I'm talking playing the ponies. If so, got to use our friends over at First Bet. Whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, or the road to the upcoming Kentucky Derby just a couple weeks away, First Bet puts the action right at your fingertips. Sign up now, firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Promo code VEASAN200. Score a 20% rebate. All wagers, first 60 days, up to $200. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today at firstbet.com. Excited to talk a little Kentucky Derby as we get closer. Horse racing, not my thing, but maybe we'll have our buddy Mike Samich on the program as we get closer to the Derby. Obviously, it's one of the most fun days of the year for casual bettors. Right? I was actually talking about horse racing earlier today because played my first, so we're 1-0 on them, but played my first Nerfy of the year. I was talking about instant gratification bets. There is nothing in terms of instant gratification better than horse racing. I just, look, I always say I try to be transparent. I try to be honest. If I don't know it, I don't bet it. It's why I hate the NBA in the regular season, because I don't know who the hell is playing. The injury reports are so inconsistent, so last minute. If I don't know it, I don't bet it. You're not going to find me firing on, ridiculous bets. I know, joked earlier with our buddy Tanner Kern about being on the West Coast. It's great because the games start early, but sometimes you're out on a Saturday night and you're at the bar and you're like, shoot, I'm from New York. We would have games on at midnight at the bar. There would be a late Laker game on or some old Pac-12 football. Rest in peace to the Pac-12, right? There would be some Pac-12 football on at the bar at midnight Eastern. Now, living in LA, it's like we don't have that on a Saturday night. When the Dodgers end, when the Lakers end, everything ends, 10:30 local time. So I joked with Tanner about betting some late night ping pong just to have some action. No, if I don't know it, I don't bet it. So we'll try to get our buddy Mike Samich on as the Kentucky Derby nears. That's an exception, right? It's one of the biggest casual sports betting days of the year. You got the Super Bowl, the Derby, those those major one-shot events where everyone wants a little skin in the game, and we'll see who Samich likes to win at Churchill Downs in a couple weeks. That is fast approaching. Before we have that, though, NFL draft coming up. Jarrett Bailey, our friend from the Sporting News, is coming up. We're going to break down some NFL draft odds here on the program. Just what, a week out? I can't wait. Will Ashton Genty go top 10? Or will he go top 9? 9.5 is his number. Will the first three be set? Is it Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter? Boom, boom, boom. I don't know if I could see my Giants taking Abdul Carter. Look, he's a freak. I love this kid. I would love to have him. I don't know if he fits what they're looking for right now. And if you're Cleveland, I agree with our buddy Joe DeLeon from A to Z Sports. Came on the program yesterday. If you're Cleveland, I know all signs lately are pointing towards the Browns taking Travis Hunter. But if you're the Browns, doesn't the thought of Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter make something in you tingle? The thought of the best pass rush in the NFL? I mean, forget waiting for Carter to develop and mature more. Rookie year, that could be the best pass rush in football. Those two guys opposite one another? My goodness. I know Travis Hunter's a freak, and he's insane. And what he's going to do two ways in this league, I believe, is truly going to be special. But as far as speaking from a cornerback perspective, Travis Hunter as a cornerback, as a D-back, the best way to have great D-backs, have a great pass rush. And if you have Carter and Garrett making whoever the opposing quarterback is get rid of it in under 2 seconds, well, I don't care who your cornerbacks are. They're going to have success if that's your pass rush. So if I'm the Browns, I look Carter, and maybe it's a little wishful thinking. I would love my Giants to get their hands on Travis Hunter, then go get a quarterback in next year's class. That's going to be a little deeper. Mavericks still up 18, 9 minutes to go. 103-85, they lead, laying 13 and a hook. Live total, 227.5. Jarrett Bailey joins us up next. NFL Draft Talk. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues here on VSiN with me, Joe Ceraulo. NFL Draft just about a week away. Let's dive into some of these odds, some of these bets, and get you ready for the draft with our buddy from the Sporting News, now joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. It's been a while. Let's welcome Jarrett Bailey into the program. Jarrett, how are you, my man? It's great to see you.
Yeah, we were talking ahead of this. I'm ready for the draft to be done. We're a week away. I cannot wait to not hear the phrase mock draft for a good 8 months. It's gonna be great for me.
Man, it really does get overblown. I like how the WNBA handles it, right? They just had their draft. Boom. College championship over. Let's do the draft a week later, right? Let's not waste time.
For that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We need more of that, but
I think that.
Yeah.
I was talking to Matt Verderin from Sports Illustrated about that today, actually, and we brought up the combine and whatnot, because after the combine, it just kind of drags, and he's like, yeah, let's just do it 2 days after the combine. You get 48 hours, you get to see them all test. All right, decide who you want. Let's get this over with.
Right. Instead, we've got Shedeur Sanders holding his third separate private workout specifically for the Giants now, and I mean, this stuff gets dragged out so long. It's I could imagine that this for you is like the Super Bowl for me, where it's 2 straight weeks of it feels like the show is on repeat, right? All right, wake up. How do we talk about the same game from a different angle and, different bets? And then as the 2 weeks go by, you find yourself adding an unnecessary amount of bets to the portfolio, and it either goes really well or really poorly because 2 weeks just sitting by, a lot can happen in those 2 weeks. But we are about a week away from the draft. Let's get into some odds here. I want to hear about a guy that you saw up close. Of course, you go down and cover the Senior Bowl every year. And so much talk about Cam Ward earlier in the cycle. Now it's a foregone conclusion. It seems that he'll be going number 1 to Tennessee. The talk now is all about Shedeur Sanders. What about the guy we believe will be the third quarterback coming off the board? You saw Jackson Dart firsthand in Mobile, Alabama. What are your thoughts on Dart, and what are your thoughts on where he'll go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of these people who's like completely on the Jackson Dart train where I think he's, going to be some superstar right off the bat. There's traits there that are evident and reasonable to like. He's got a big arm. And the Ole Miss system, I think, is a little bit more pro-ready than some may give it credit for. And Jackson talked about that during his presser at the Senior Bowl, saying, a lot of people may hate on the system, but there's a lot of different things that he's done in the system in terms of just different reads and making sure he gets through his progressions that make him maybe a little bit more pro ready than other prospects may be. But there's certain things when it comes to just decision making that people might have question marks about. In terms of where he can go, I think that one team to pay attention to in the top 10 is New Orleans. If Shedeur Sanders is there, I mean, there's some people who think that New Orleans likes Dart better than Shedeur Sanders. And so if Sanders is there at 9, they'll be happily content to take him at 9. And if they like Shedeur Sanders more and they want to move up with New England to number 4 to take him, then that's fine. But, you hear some things through the grapevine throughout this entire process, whether it be Senior Bowl or Combine or, as we lead up to the NFL draft. And New Orleans could be that team that takes Jackson Dart, especially with the latest news coming out about Derek Carr and his shoulder and possibly not being available for the 2025 season. So that might speed up their process of needing a quarterback. And they may have taken one regardless of the Carr news, but now it becomes a little bit more urgent in terms of, all right, we got to, maybe get a guy that we can throw in right away and kind of, have a trial by fire. So if Dart is their guy, don't be surprised if he's the pick at 9.
Interesting. So, Jarrett, I like doing this with our guests when we talk draft, right? Because there's so many different ways nowadays to bet on the same player or essentially the same thing to happen. So let's do a little would you rather. Would you rather bet Jackson Dart to go under pick 24.5, meaning first 24 picks, at minus 155, or would you rather bet Jackson Dart to go top 10 plus 250?
Yeah, I mean, the value's there for top 10. I think it's pretty, and again, this is more so like what I think will happen than what I think should happen, especially when you're betting. That's right. It's very much like, okay, you're not talking with your heart here. So I think that he's going to go in the first 23 picks. But again, that the value is certainly more there in the top 10. And again, we always see it every year where, even last year, where Atlanta surprised everybody and took Michael Penix when nobody thought they were going to go quarterback. And even Bo Nix, he wasn't a top 10 pick, but he goes number 12 to Denver. And going into the draft, all the talk was, okay, Bo Nix will probably go mid-second round. So especially at the quarterback position, there are always going to be guys that get overdrafted because it's the most important position in the sport. You got to take some throws at the dartboard to see, no pun intended there.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to throw some things at the wall and hope something sticks. And if you're a team like New Orleans, I think that's the team that you really got to circle in this process if you're going to bet Dart in the first 10 picks, because that's the one that makes the most sense to me right now.
So what do you see happening with Shedeur Sanders then? His over-under has plummeted. I mean, there was talk Shedeur was going number 2 to Cleveland, number 3 to the Giants. Now his over-under is 8.5, and it's minus 300 to the over, plus 220 to the under. I feel like that tells you that everyone thinks Shedeur is going to be a New Orleans Saint. You see the odds right there. He's even money to go to the Saints. They're the favorites. You're saying you're hearing New Orleans likes Dart. The Saints are the favorite to take Shedeur. I mean, if the Browns and Giants don't do it, I feel like the Saints would have to. If they don't, my goodness, what do you see happening with Shedeur Sanders on draft night?
I think that's going to be a situation where somebody trades up in the first round. Like if you get past New Orleans at 9, between 10 and the Steelers at 21, there's only one logical team you could think would take a quarterback, and it would be Indianapolis at 14. But even then, they just signed Daniel Jones. They have Anthony Richardson in the building, who they drafted in the first round. So
you know how I feel about Daniel Jones, man.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't think that either of those guys are going to be the long-term answers, but I think that their plan for this year is to see if one of them can be. And so I don't think they're going to go quarterback in the first round this year either. So after New Orleans at 9, getting to Pittsburgh at 21 becomes real interesting, because that's a team where they seem to still be sitting in the waiting room of Aaron Rodgers, and he still hasn't signed. The only other two quarterbacks they have on the roster right now are Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. So if you're the Steelers and he gets past 9, maybe you just consider trading up yourselves to beat anybody else who would want to trade up and get him. Because like I said, between 10 and 21, Indy's the only team that you could really look at and say, yeah, that they would maybe take a quarterback. Everybody else, I just don't think is going to go that route. So I think Pittsburgh at 21, but even then, I think that they could trade up just to ensure they get him if they like him that much. So, but if he just falls to 21 and you're the Steelers, I don't see why you don't take him unless you're just not in love with him and you want to wait till next year and a more loaded quarterback class. But I think Pittsburgh is the name to really look at here. If he gets past number 9. But we could see other teams trade up, whether that be Cleveland, especially if they take Travis Hunter, if they want to trade back into the first round to keep those two together. I think that's something that could very well happen. I would have said Las Vegas before the Geno extension. I think it was a 3-year extension for Geno Smith, and there's ways to get out of that, I'm sure, before the full 3 years. But I think that Vegas feels less like an option now after that. So Pittsburgh is the team that I'm keeping the closest eye on. Maybe the Rams, if they want to move up, if there's anywhere that a quarterback can go to succeed, it's with Sean McVay. But yeah, between 10 and 21, if I'm the Steelers and I love Shedeur Sanders, I would keep an eye on Indy. And as soon as he gets past Indy, I'm moving up.
Jarrett, when you were down in Alabama, probably the best defensive player you covered, Mike Green. He's a bit of a long shot, 8-1 to go top 10, but he does seem to be the consensus pick as the second best edge in this class. His over-under is 17.5, plus 105 over, minus 135 to be drafted anywhere from 1 to 17. Final minute here. Where do you see Mike Green going?
Yeah, I mean, that 17 spot with Cincinnati feels like a pretty secure pick, considering that outside of Trey Hendrickson, there's not anybody that scares you. Cam Taylor-Britt in the secondary, but he had an up and down year last year. So if you want to get some help for Trey Hendrickson, and he's got his own stuff going on with the Bengals right now, so he might end up being your Trey Hendrickson replacement. I think that Cincinnati makes sense. Atlanta makes sense. They seem to always need some sort of pass rush help. They brought in Matt Judon last year. That didn't really work. So I think that Atlanta and Cincinnati are the two most logical spots for him. If you're looking at where to bet Mike Green to go, I would say in the top 17, because I think one of those two teams will take him.
Jarrett, as always, man, great stuff. Really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure. Take care, buddy.
Make sure you check out Jarrett Bailey's terrific work over at The Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter as well at JBaileyNFL. So much talk this draft cycle has revolved around Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter that you forget sometimes to look down the line, maybe find some value on the board. That Mike Green pick, I think, perfect example of value on a mid-first round play. More cashing out with Joe Ceraulo after the break.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night into your Thursday morning here on the program, taking you through the completion of this Mavericks-Kings game. 2 minutes to go, 120-98. Dallas leads it. That takes us to 218 total points. So over the closing number. Still need a few more. Who would have thought for that opening number of 223.5 that got dropped 10 points. Dallas going to cover every which number, whether it's any of the live numbers we mentioned. I mean, they're up 22 here. They were living around 18-19 the entire second half. Led by 23 at the break. Monster second quarter, outscoring Sacramento 44-19. to lead by 23 at halftime. And the Mavericks have just never looked back. So, we talked about this earlier in the program. When would the books start posting odds for Mavericks Grizzlies? We've got them. Dallas catching 6.5 Friday night in Memphis. That game scheduled to start 9:40 Eastern, 6:40 Pacific. 6.5, the number. Total, 222.5. My first thought looking at anything from that game is the over. And I'm not as in love with that game as I am the Heat money line. Again, we went over, shop around, right? Minus 102 at DraftKings, minus 105 at Circa, plus 108 at FanDuel and Boyd. Heat money line for Friday's play-in action. That's definitely the strongest position I'm taking. Dallas Grizzlies, I don't know, that's 6.5. I mean, Memphis looked great despite the loss to Golden State. The Grizzlies looked way better than I ever would have imagined. So did the Mavericks against Sacramento. I mean, Dallas, I expected their defense to look good, but I've been so unimpressed with this offense this year. And they really impressed me. So I'm thinking over, because you got a Memphis team that can score seemingly at will, and a Memphis team that is, at the same time, one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA post All-Star break. I'm thinking over 222.5 might be the play in that one. Heat money line in the early game, over 222.5. Those are my early thoughts for Friday's play-in action. Heat's going to be a play. Make no doubt about it. Mavericks Grizzlies, we'll see on that one if I feel the need to put anything down in that game. Going to be an interesting matchup. How will Zach Edey fare against the bigs in Dallas, against Anthony Davis? I mean, you're looking at Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. against AD and PJ Washington, and Dallas has such depth at the big man position, really. Daniel Gafford off the bench. Anthony Davis, by the way, really turned his performance around in this one. But you look at that bench, and the starters, Derek Lively, only 18 minutes, didn't really do a whole lot in the Mavs-Kings contest. Gafford, 21 minutes, 9 points. He got over his points. 4 boards. I believe his points rebounds, when we touched on it yesterday, was 12.5. That'd be 13. So, but that's always a concern with someone like Gafford. Plays limited minutes. How about Dinwiddie? 1 minute? His stuff was posted. Shoot, if you took Dinwiddie, you're on the wrong side there. But Klay Thompson, 23. Only 9 in the second half. Had either 14 or 16 at halftime. Finishing with 23, it looks like. Here's a shot from Sacramento that means nothing except to the total. Wow, 20 seconds left. How about that? 120-106. That looks like that's where this is going to land. So Sacramento cutting it to 14 late when they were just down over 20. Seemingly seconds ago, they were down 22. 8 unanswered points for the Kings, but what that last 3 did at 120-103 to make it 120-106 was it cashed in over if you took it on the opening line. Opened 223.5, closed 213.5, lands 226. How about that? Overs, overs, overs everywhere in Sacktown. But the Mavericks, the 10 seed, earned the right to take on Memphis Friday night officially, as that game just went triple zeros. Grizz laying 6.5. We've had odds for maybe 10, 15 minutes. Total 222.5. Klay finishes with 23. Anthony Davis, 27-9. PJ Washington, 17-9. How about Brandon Williams with the 17 spot off the bench? On the Sacramento side of things, DeRozan, game high, not just a team high, game high 33, 7 boards to go with it. So whether it was points, rebounds, combo, he gets home. Keegan Murray finishes with 9 points, 6 boards. Levine, 20 points, 9 assists. So he gets over on over on assists. Sabonis, 11 points for an under, 13 boards for an over. Bench points, big difference in this one. Sacramento finished with 24 on the bench. Dallas, my God, they got that from 2 guys. They finished with 39 Difference in the game right there. Dallas plus 15 on bench points, outscored them by 14 in the game. Sacramento, not a lot of depth to work with. Their season comes to a disappointing finish. 40-42 in the regular season, and they're going home. Dallas is going to Memphis. You know, taking the points might be the way to go in that one. I'm curious how much of a factor Ja Morant's ankle is going to be. You know, we all saw him roll that and come up limping in the Grizzlies-Warriors game, and he stayed out there and he fought on. And, you know, for a guy who's been easy to criticize lately, and deservedly so, he's been acting like an idiot. Got to commend him for his second half performance. He had 15 at halftime. Believe he only finished with 7 or 9 points in the second half. But to go out there and still facilitate and, you know, set guys like Desmond Bane up for success, who had a monstrous second half against Golden State. Ja deserves credit for that performance. But you roll an ankle, and I'll say this. I'll say it's easier to come back and play 5 minutes later than it is a day later. That thing swells up. I mean, who knows what they're injecting him with right now? So, I don't know. How much of a factor, how healthy is Ja Morant going to be for this Grizzlies-Mavericks game? Could you justify laying 6.5 on Memphis? I could justify the over because Desmond Bane is a machine and Jaren Jackson Jr. is a stud and Zach Edey got in on a double-double. I could justify the over because I think points will be scored. And Memphis doesn't play defense. And while my questions surrounding Dallas's offense are valid, well, the Grizzlies play worse defense than Sacramento, in my estimation, at least since the All-Star break, last 2 months. And Dallas just put up a $120 on the Kings. So I think points will be scored. I lean towards taking the 6.5, but probably going to stay away from a side in that one. I just love this matchup for the Heat. That's where I'm going to be. Just like I was for Wednesday's play-in action all over Miami today against Chicago, up 24 at the half. I mean, that was a wire-to-wire win. The Heat never looked back. What were they, up 11 after 1, up 24 at the half, up 14 going into the fourth. Bulls cut it into it a little bit, but then, boom, Heat answered right back in the fourth quarter, punched Chicago in the mouth. Never looked back in that one. Tyler Hero, what a night for him. 38 points in that one. Adebayo adds 15 and 12. That was the only bet we lost Wednesday. We didn't get there with Bam 20 plus at even money. Got there with the Heat, which was a plus money play, plus 105. So split the difference there. Made a couple shekels, and then 2-0 on the diamond as well. More on the baseball to come. But Hero, 38 points, 5 boards. Adebayo, 15 and 12. Andrew Wiggins had 20 and 9. Kel'el Ware, only 6 points, but 9 boards for the rookie big guy. Davion Mitchell, big night off the bench, huh? Led the team in dimes with 9, 15 points as well. Tied with Bam, third leading scorer. On the Bulls side of things, 4 starters got into double figures. They got nothing out of their bench. How about 13 bench points for the Bulls? Davion Mitchell outscored them single-handedly. Heat bench outscores Chicago 28-9. That was the difference in the game. 19 points, or 28-13, excuse me. 9 was what Talen Horton-Tucker had for the Bulls. 28-13, almost the difference in the game. Bench scoring matters. You look at a lot of these game differentials, and you look at a lot of the different differentials between bench points, and they tend to matter. Kobe White, under 17 points. Josh Giddey, double-double, 25 and 10. Vucevic, 16 and 12. Although Adebayo did a pretty good job neutralizing him in that one. Folks, do you want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits here at Circa, or here at VSiN, rather, come straight from Circa and DraftKings, giving you insight to where the sharp action's landing. Circa, of course, known for taking big bets from the pros, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective, meaning you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the kinds of wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the handle on every game across every major sport, helping you make smarter, more informed bets. Get VSiN's summer special right now for only $59 through August 1st. VSiN.com/subscribe. Up next, going to look at the day on the diamond that was Wednesday and look ahead to Thursday's MLB slate. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night into your Thursday morning. How about this Dodgers-Rockies game, huh? Still going on. Late night baseball at Chavez Ravine. How about the Rockies hanging in there? If you had the over in this one, that thing hit, I want to say, in the first inning. Let's pull up. What was the pre-flop total? Dodgers-Rockies. Whatever the total was, I bet the Dodgers team total was at least 80% of it. Total in that game, going into things, was 8.5. It was 8 after the first inning. Dodgers gave up 1 to start, clapped back with 7, bottom of the first. Shohei Ohtani hits a 450-foot nuclear missile into right field. Bats around, gets another RBI hit later on. So you're at 8 runs after the first inning. Top of the third rolls around, 7-1 Dodgers lead. Boom. Colorado puts up a 5 spot. Back-to-back home runs. Grand slam, Michael Toglia, big young first baseman, and then a solo shot, Mickey Moniak. Make it 7-6 after 3. Your 8.5 total got there with ease. Dodgers added 1 in the bottom of the 5th, courtesy of a RBI single by Andy Pajes, and then a Kyle Farmer groundout resulted in a run for Colorado in the top of the 7th. So we are looking at an 8-7 game. Rockies up top of the 8th. How about the absolutely hideous lines from each starting pitcher? German Marquez, 2/3 of an inning, 7 earned. Bobby Miller, 3 innings, 6 earned. Did get 7 Ks in his season debut. But that's the MO on Miller, seemingly, isn't it? Good stuff. Can't piece it together. Bobby Miller has not been able to piece it together yet throughout his young MLB career. Just 26 years old. Really plus stuff. Good strikeout pitcher. But, look at some of his outings last year. I mean, the guy finished 56 innings. He had an ERA of 8.5. Got left off the playoff roster. You look at his ERA month by month. It's atrocious. 2 starts in April, 11. 2 starts in June, 8.5. 2 starts in July, 11. 3 starts in August, best month, 5.75. And then 3 starts in September, 13.5. Worst month. I mean, he had games with 8, 9 strikeouts, but, 11 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts. But the guy just got shelled. Has not been able to piece it together. So Colorado in this thing, 2 outs, top of the 8th. We'll bring up the live odds. Dodgers, run line, -1.5, plus $1.60. Rockies, plus 1.5, -$2. Rockies, money line, 11-1. They're down 1. If you've got guts, 11-1 on the money line. How about the rest of the day on the diamond? Minnesota got there against my Mets. Take 2 out of 3. First time Mets have lost a series since opening weekend in Houston. Mets are 11-7, 6-6 on the road. They were down 3-0. Had a great 8th inning to tie it at 3. Pete Alonso continues to absolutely rake. 2 for 4 on the game, hitting .365 on the year with 21 runs batted in. Winker did his part. Acuna knocked in Winker. Mets tied it at 3, had all the momentum. Couldn't get in the ghost runner, top 10. Bottom 10, Ty France RBI single. Buxton scores. How you doing? Game over. Twins take the series. That series was a pick'em, despite how bad Minnesota's been. They were 5-11 on the year coming into it. Been atrocious really since September 1st when they had a total choke job, collapse, missed the playoffs last year. But the series due to pitching matchups was a pick'em. And ironically, the 1-game Minnesota loss was the best game they had a shot to win. Joe Ryan on the bump. Game 1. They lose that, then they win Game 2 and Game 3 against my Mets. Mets go home to host St. Louis for 4 as the weekend approaches. Other notable results, Spencer Strider back on the bump for the Braves after missing a calendar year. Jays spoil his return, but hey, we hit the nerfy. -130. That thing got up to -170 at some shops. My goodness, good thing we got it early. Blue Jays 3, Braves 1, Strider K's 5. make it 500 career strikeouts for Strider. Reaches that milestone quickly. There's your note on the Twins you see for those of you watching. And the Padres improved to 12-1 at Petco. 4-2 win over the Cubbies. First time the Cubs have lost a series since Tokyo. How about that? Since their return to the mainland. Christian Yelich goes deep. Brewers win 2 in a row to take the series from the Tigers. Jose Quintana. How about the former Met? Guy who shoved against Milwaukee in the wild card round, Game 3. Massive game, one of the biggest starts of his career. He's 2-0 on the young year in 2 starts, .7 ERA. Cardinals beat the Astros 4-1. They take 2 out of 3 from Houston. How about former Met Steven Matz? 5 innings, 5 Ks, 1 earned. That's the MO with Matz, though. Usually starts strong. Cardinals had him start the year out of the bullpen. I guess this was a spot start. Usually starts strong, fades off. Look, I was actually just talking about Steven Matz the other day, coincidentally. I was looking at the old Mets rotation. Harvey, DeGrom, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Matz. And I really wish Matz worked out. Long Island kid, grew up a Mets fan. Had the incredible rookie season when he came up in, I believe it was, 2015, his rookie season. I remember his first start, that doubleheader against the Reds. I think they had a Steve Miller Band concert post-game after that doubleheader because there was a rain out Saturday. It was supposed to be game Saturday, Steve Miller Band concert, rain out Sunday, doubleheader, and Miller Band. And Matt's, what did he have, a bases clearing double in that game? He was a great hitter. Best year on the bump was his rookie year and just fell off a cliff after. Red Sox win it 1-0 over Tampa. They end up taking the series. They're back to 500. San Francisco's bats light up Aaron Nola and the Phillies, 11-4. Aaron Nola, 0-4. Rare enough to have a decision each of your first 4 starts. He's had a negative decision each of his first 4. Pirates, another win against the Nats, 6-1. Mariners 5, Reds 3. D-backs, 6-2. Brandon Pfaadt looks good. He's 3-1 with an ERA near 3 flat. Orioles 9-1 over the Guardians. Kramer outdoes Williams. Yankees, is that a sweep over the Royals? 4-3. How about it? A's 3, White Sox 1. Rangers, 3-1 win over the Angels. That's notable because everyone seemed to be on the Angels. Death taxes and fading Patrick Corbin, right? Well, Patrick Corbin got the win. How about it? I mean, Patrick Corbin Day is a thing. People see he's pitching, they run to the counter to fade. Instead, Jose Soriano, who's got great stuff, got hit around by the Rangers. 5 2/3, 10 hits, 3 earned. He gets the loss. Corbin, 5 1/3, 1 earned, 6 Ks. Gets the win for Texas as they improve to 8-1 at home on the young season. And as we look ahead to the weekend, we'll get into Thursday's games here. But the Rangers hosting the Dodgers. Texas is 8-1 at home, and they're plus 45 cents to win the series. Friday night, DeGrom, Yamamoto. Saturday, Eovaldi, Sasaki. Sunday, I'm blanking. I did that off of memory. That wasn't bad, huh? Who's going Sunday? Dodgers, Rangers. That's got to be Sunday Night Baseball. Oh, Padres, Astros, Sunday Night Baseball. Sunday's Glasnow versus Tyler Mahle, who's 3-0 with a .9 ERA. I think there's value on the Rangers to win the series, plus 145. I like that. I like that a lot. You always want to avoid laying juice on those series bets, you know? Thursday, MLB notables. Griffin Canning, who got scratched for the Mets series finale against Minnesota, he's going opposite Andre Palante and the Cardinals. Palante is 2-0 with a 2.2 ERA. Cardinals just took 2 out of 3 from Houston. They're 8-4 at home, just 1-5 on the road. Mets laying 45 cents. Mets hadn't lost back-to-back games all year. These 2 against Minnesota, first time all year Mets lost back-to-back games. Cardinals plus $1.20. Trevor Williams going for the Nats at Pittsburgh. Andrew Heaney on the bump for the Pirates. Here's a pitching matchup from heaven. Brian Wu for the Mariners. Brady Singer for the Reds. Those guys were combined 5-0. Wu 2-0, 2.84. Singer 3-0, 3.18. Can we get a good price on a Nerfy? Usually when Wu pitches, the Nerfy prices are outrageous. He last year was one of the best first inning pitchers in all of baseball. But it's at Great American Ballpark. I'm wondering if the park factor might give us a respectable price on a Nerfy. They hit the Yerfy on Wednesday. Maybe we'll go back to a Nerfy there. Bybee going for the Guards against Baltimore and Sugano. Royals, Lorenzen pitching against Reese Olson and the Tigers in Detroit. Christopher Sanchez going for the Phillies as they look to split the series with San Fran. Sanchez 1-0 with a 3-1-2. Jordan Hicks, 1-1 with a 5-8-7. Phillies laying 75 cents in that one. Hey, VSiN fans, it's time to plan your Las Vegas getaway. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens is offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties: Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and the Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging at Stadium Swim watching the games or enjoying the rest of the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with the promo code VSiN15. Book your stay now, circalasvegas.com. Use that code VSiN15. You'll get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts right here.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.